Fields looked up at Rose and said, "I understand Mike wants to start with the wishing well." Rose nodded. "I have 7 deputies here now," Fields said, "and more are on their way." For 18 hours, the day before, Rose had Deputy Ron Shields sitting in a car in front of this lot that held a 70-foot-long trailer. The trailer had mysteriously burst into flames the night before last. Immediately after the fire marshals had taped off the home, but that wasn't enough to keep out anyone bent on getting inside and disrupting evidence. Or removing bodies, for that matter. Now the last rays of the afternoon sun caught the home's front and back decks, which were laden with pots of flowers, some hanging, others clustered on the deck floor. Someone had removed all the weeds from the pots and flower beds and apparently snipped off any tired blossoms, for only fresh blooms remained. Rose couldn't imagine anyone having that kind of patience with flowers. He brushed by the purple petunias that spilled from a brick and wood wishing well in the front yard and went to talk to police. "Good. You're about finished stringing the crime scene tape," he told an officer. "Without that, all those people in the street would be up here as soon as we started digging." The officer continued taping the entire yard, saying, "Like the manual says, secure the crime scene. We've got to keep the curious at bay." "If we find anything," Rose said, "the curious will want to jump in the bay. When we start digging up graves, it won't be pretty." Any Saturday in June at 6 p.m. would normally find people racing across the sparkling lake on their motorboats, water skis, or bouncing over waves on their sea-doos. Instead, they were watching deputies begin a search. The men had been there an hour, with the temperature still hovering at a sweat-inducing 100 degrees. They photographed the crime scene and waited for Field Agent Charles Lynch with the Southwestern Institute of Forensic Science. O'Brien had called him before turning over one spade full of dirt, but it would take Lynch more than an hour to drive down from Dallas to lend a scientific hand. Finally, the young-looking, mustached Charles Lynch emerged from his van and went directly to O'Brien and Rose. "Everything ready to get started?" Lynch asked. "More than ready," O'Brien said, and signaled the driver to climb aboard the bright yellow backhoe. He put the machine in gear and started clawing at the 4-foot square wishing well. Its ladle scraped the red brick base, then rose to latch onto the 4-foot-high top edge of the brown wooden surround. As the backhoe inched forward, nails pulled from the wood and every joint creaked. Then the whole thing fell over, crashing with a thud as dirt and plants splattered everywhere. Even with the media's widespread use of police scanners, the quick arrival of reporters at this out-of-the-way spot on Red Bluff Loop surprised law enforcement. A helicopter from Channel 8 in Dallas landed 2 lots down on the street. Reporters had flown in on another helicopter from Tyler's Channel 7 and the Tyler Morning Telegraph. There was also a scattering of correspondents from the Athens Daily Review, the Cedar Creek Pilot, and the Dallas Morning News. The journalists had all heard the bizarre rumors and now waited to see what would actually unfold. Rose motioned to 3 gloved men to bring their shovels and follow him to the well. "Let's be careful because we're not sure what we'll find. Just take off a little dirt at a time. He's probably under the ground, but we're not positive." As the men began turning the moist soil, Rose paced back and forth. All he could see was dirt. Judge Holland had a record of almost 20 years on the bench, so he didn't have that much to lose if the search proved fruitless. But this was Rose's first year here as a homicide investigator, and he wanted to prove he was no rookie. He had spent a total of 13 years in law enforcement, much of it working for the district attorney in Dallas. Here in Henderson County, he had an opportunity to solve a case that had lain dormant for 2 years. In the 3 years he'd worked for the sheriff, he had arrested over 200 drug dealers and had broken a gun burglary ring that put his reputation on the map. Reddish-brown dirt flew from the deputies' shovels, and perspiration dripped from their faces, while their shirts stuck to their skin. Periodically, they stopped to wipe off their faces and necks. After digging a foot, one of the deputies' shovels